Well, hello, fam. This is your girl Janelle here for another episode of Talk to Me Tuesday. So, if you are here and you are in the house, Marcus, thank you for the love. Thank you for the love. For those of you who are riding and dying with us and you're here each and every week, go ahead and let us know that you are in the house and put fam into the comments so that we can go ahead and celebrate you being here with us. And we are excited because the family keeps growing. So if this is the first time that you are joining us for Talk to Me Tuesday, I want you to go ahead and drop first time into the comments so we can go ahead and recognize you and welcome you to the family as well. So I know that you guys are here joining us, and tonight is going to be another episode where we really talk about information. And tonight's topic I am super excited about because we all deal with it. And tonight's topic is about overcoming obstacles. So again, if you are here with us, go ahead and drop that into the comments so we can go ahead and celebrate you. I know that for some of you, this may be the first time. So again, welcome, welcome, welcome. And for those of you who come and join us each and every week, welcome, welcome, welcome again. And for those of you, we recognize that not everybody in the fam is always going to be available. So if that is the case for you and you are joining us on the replay, go ahead and put replay into the comments so we know that you were able to get some of these nuggets as you continue to move forward. So tonight I wanted to share with you about, again, how do we overcome obstacles? Because obstacles are something that we all have and we all deal with. But each and every week, I appreciate you guys showing up. But I really wanted to do something today to really talk about what it is that we do and what do we have going on. I see the love in the comments as you guys are welcoming our first timers who are joining us tonight. So today I wanted to share with you what it is that I do. Because for some of you, I know you're joining the first time and you're like, what is it that she does? And while I think it's important for me to share with you guys that I have the opportunity to serve individuals who are really seeking to empower themselves within who they are, but also to empower individuals in how they show up in all of their relationships, as well as the relationship that they have with their business or their profession. So we really have the opportunity to do a lot. So I think it's important that I just don't tell you what it is that I do, but I also take the time to show you what it is that I do as well. So wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. So that is a little, just a sneak peek of what it is that I do and how I support individuals who are really ready to level up and to move up in everything that they're doing to work into their best. So again, as you guys are all here, I see those blessings, blessings, blessings all the way from Texas. Before we get started, I know that we have several members of our family who are in Texas right now. And I just want you all to know that the fam who is thinking about you, sending you love, sending you blessings, continuing to pray for you all while you deal with all that you've been dealing with. Do know that your fam around the country is here loving on you and supporting you. So I wanted to ensure that we just take that time. Andrea, I see you. I know that we have other members of the fam who are living in Texas right now. And guys know, again, tonight's topic is really something that I think you guys know more than many of us who are grappling with that right now. So tonight I want to talk about how do you overcome obstacles? Because obstacles are something that I promise you, every single one of us, as we continue to live, we will have obstacles. So it's so important that we think about how do we navigate, how do we adjust, how do we prepare for them? You know, people this in this last year, we talked about those individuals in Texas. We talked about what happened at the nation's capital. We talk about the fact that so many people have lost their jobs, that the unemployment rates are still high. Some people have lost their businesses. Some people have ended relationships because they've spent a lot more time than they thought. An array of things have happened that we continue to move forward with in the struggles that we have. So tonight I want to talk about four consistent points that I want you to always hold up when you deal with obstacles. And the first one is recognizing them and recognizing the emotions that you experience when obstacles come up. Because to pretend like it doesn't take you through an emotional roller coaster, you're not being true to yourself, whomever you are, right? So, really understanding that. The second thing is thinking about how do you remove those obstacles? How do you remove the roadblocks? And then how do you move to getting to a place where instead of using those roadblocks to keep you down, you stack them up so that you can go ahead and build yourself up. And through it all, that last component I'm going to talk about is how do we remain grateful even in those difficult times? So, again, for those of you who are jumping on, continue to let us know that you are here in the house. We're always thankful to see the family in the house. So let's just dive in, right? Let's just dive in. Because again, if you have had obstacles in any part of your life, just go ahead and put me too in the comments, right? Maybe it's just Janelle who has obstacles along the way, right? But if you have obstacles, go ahead and put me too into the comments. Because again, life guarantees obstacles. So really understanding that is so critical. Hey, Florence, it's so nice to see you here in the fam with us. Really, and understanding that when you go through an obstacle, right? And I say if you didn't go through an obstacle today, hold tight because it's coming. And it's not that we're holding a negative mindset, it's that we're holding a realistic mindset. So it's important that as obstacles come up, that we recognize that they're helping to allow us to grow and move forward. So that's the first thing. And I know that as we are living in the experience, that sometimes what I will say is you can't appreciate that, right? So when you're dealing with the fact that you might have lost your job, when you're dealing with the fact that your marriage, your relationship, the relationship you have with your kids isn't ideal, it's hard to reflect and say, oh, this is part of the journey. But I need you to understand as we think about, unfortunately, I think about 9/11 and where we were and how we really got to a place where we were fearful as a nation. But through experience, through time, we were able to heal, we were able to come together. And similar to that moment where, again, I personally lost people being from New York who I knew. And really, time is something that allows us to reflect and to heal. It doesn't negate that we've experienced the obstacle, but it helps us to reflect as we move forward. And again, as we recognize and think about the emotions that we feel when we are experiencing obstacles, it's okay to laugh, to cry, to want to be by yourself. And so often we hear, be strong, don't cry. I say the exact opposite. Whatever emotions you are feeling, it is okay to feel them. It is okay to acknowledge them because they are part of the process as you deal with your obstacles. Hey, Roxanne, so lovely to see you being here in the fam, right? So, again, as we go ahead and we think about what are those obstacles that we are currently dealing with, how do we start to recognize what are the emotions that I feel? While I want you to recognize the emotions, may it be anger, frustration, overwhelmed, whatever it is that you're feeling, recognize it, process it, but I can't allow you to stay in those negative emotions. So when you are dealing with a colleague who is getting on your last nerve, when you have someone that you are leading and they're not stepping up to the plate, when you are in a relationship and you feel like you're trying and you're giving so much, when your business, you're putting in an exorbitant amount of hours and you aren't seeing the revenue, you aren't seeing the return for the amount of hours that you spend at work, whatever the obstacle is you are currently dealing with, be reflective about how you feel and think about how I can change that feeling from being overwhelmed, from being frustrated, from being mad, upset, anger, whatever the feeling is, and think about it being a roadblock. And the way that we begin to address and remove roadblocks is the second thing. Some of the things that we want to do is think about what's our mindset? What is the perspective that we are viewing this obstacle? And do we have a strategy to overcome it? So I want to talk about mindset, right? I'm going to hold up just one obstacle that I know many people have dealt with, right? Or at least I have dealt with it, right? And that's dealing sometimes with individuals that you work with, individuals who may be in your business. Because I know that we have entrepreneurs here. I know we have people who are currently working in organizations. So wherever it is, you have those individuals who sometimes their personality clashes with you. So what I encourage you to do is think about your mindset. What do you have control over? Because you can control you. As much as we would like to control others, we can. And as a mom of a 4-year-old and a 1-year-old, what I will tell you is I can't even control them. I want to believe that, but deep in my heart, I know I can't even control them. So really thinking about who do I have control over? And how do I view this obstacle? So instead of being anxious, angry, worked up when I know I have to deal with this particular individual, how do I start to think about, okay, what is it exactly that this person does that rubs me the wrong way? How can I prepare for that? What perspective am I going into it with? Because so often we go into it with the perspective from our vantage point. So I might be overwhelmed with a colleague because I feel like they're not working at the highest level and I'm picking up the slack. It may be that I'm assigning a task and this person isn't getting it. Whatever the case is, what role am I playing in continuing to keep this an obstacle? And how do I begin to shift my mindset and my perspective to really begin to look for solutions and not continue to look for the problem? Now, again, fam, you guys are in here. Let me know if this is resonating. Because again, I might just be out here sharing with y'all things that I've learned to again move forward to, but you guys might not have no issues, right? So again, if you have things or you've ever been in this situation, go ahead and put in the comments to let me know that I ain't the only person out here who has obstacles along the way, right? So again, as we think about whatever it is that we're dealing with, and fam, we are here together, right? So if you want to put something that you're dealing with and have me begin to unpack what can be some new perspective for you, feel free to drop that as well. But as we think about whatever is the obstacle before us, how are we considering where the other person may be coming from and not just holding up our own perspective? And then ultimately, how are we working to create a strategy to overcome it? By just having a mindset, but not thinking about how to overcome it, doesn't get rid of the problem. So it's one thing to recognize your emotions. It's another thing to begin to recognize that I don't want to stay in this place. It's important to think about what's my mindset and to know that I can get past this and I'm going to be better for it on the other end. It's another thing to have a plan to figure out how I can have success, how I can learn so I don't find myself back here in this same situation. Because oftentimes we end up getting into a loop when we don't learn from obstacles. So how can we again think about moving ourselves forward to learn from the scenario? And while I'm not saying if you learn from it, you can't never experience it again, but you will know quickly how to get out of it. And that's what I mean when we talk about that third component, which is really using your roadblocks to build you up and not continue to hold you down. So for every lesson that you have, that you continue to move forward. Florence talks about, you know, juggling, getting her kids around now, because as a parent, there's so many things that you have to grapple with. So I'm gonna go ahead. Thank you for going ahead and sharing with the fam some of the things you guys are grappling with, right? So part of the journey of being a parent is this is part of the process. This is the joy of being a parent. Now, while we can't appreciate that part of the joy at all times when we have to be on one side of the city and the other side of the city and make sure we're there to support them in every activity, sport activity that they have going on, it's part of the journey. And there will come a time where we will look back and say, wow, what do I do with this time? Because they're going to learn to drive, they're going to be independent, and you're not going to have that. So recognizing that this is a temporary place in the journey of being a parent. You know, unfortunately, I just heard this weekend about someone who I knew who lost their child. So again, when we think about perspective, while we are frustrated at times where the kids tell us an hour before they needed to be someplace that's 2 hours away, for this mom, she no longer has that. So as we view obstacles, we always view it from our perspective. But how do we think about holding up some other ways to view it, right? And how do we think about, as we think about our mindset for this, how do we think about a strategy to overcome this? Is what are the tools that we have? What are the tools that we can leverage to figure out that I have football practice here, I have soccer practice here, and to make sure that people are following the plan? One of the things that I have in my daily affirmations journal that, again, guys, I will be sharing with the information with you at the end of the week. I know many of you like, you talk about these journals, I want to get one, right? So I'll be sharing with you at the end of the week how you can get your gratitude journal. It's really thinking about how do we start to really capture the lessons that we learn so that we can continue to learn from them. And how do we get to a place where what I expect and what I accept are one and the same? And as parents, especially moms and men, I know that we have some guys who are joining us today, and I'm saying to you, listen here, I'm fathers are equally as involved, right? I look at my husband who has gone to all the games, all the AAU games for my son, and it's important. But as moms, we're often the ones who are always trying to make sure that we're navigating the schedule, we're navigating the calendar. So really thinking for Florence about how do we start to think about our mindset? How do we start to set up some systems that we put into place that allow us to figure out how do we not view these things as obstacles? How do we figure out what is not working and how we have a plan to make it work? But we have to be intentional because for so often, as a parent, we will get to a place, especially moms. And again, I'm not being sexist out here in these streets. I promise you, men, I know that you guys are doing it too. But there's something about when you are a mom, you're always holding up everyone's situations. You're making sure everybody has everything that they need, right? I see Plachette out here who I look at some of her posts and I'm like, oh my gosh, she's like mom of the year, right? And all of us are really moms of the year because we're always trying to grapple with everything. So really thinking about when you have that, how do you start to intentionally allow your kids to reach your expectations? We say to them in school, we want you to do well, we want you to give your best. We need to say the same thing when they're coming home. So don't tell me about a game, don't tell me about an event, don't tell me you want to be at someone's house. I know in COVID, there's not a lot of that going to each other's houses. But if you don't plan, you can't expect for me to shift my plans on the back end. And we really have to be intentional with how we ask people to show up. And we have to model that with how we're intentional with our own time. And really thinking about as each obstacle comes up, how do we continue to, again, not have them block? You know, I share this with my clients all the time. When you hold blocks up, blocks can ultimately block your view, no pun intended. But how instead of allowing them to block your view, You stack them up so that you can stand on top of them. And that each time you go through an obstacle, every time you deal with a challenge, you are higher, you are better because you have experienced it. Because I tell you, each and every day that we have the opportunity to wake up means that there is still more for us to do. So, as each of you deal with any obstacle that comes up, I encourage you, I invite you, I challenge you to hold up the components that I've covered, where you recognize your emotions and you have them, and be unapologetic about how you feel. But, like I say, don't stay there because that's your obstacle winning. The second thing I want you guys to make sure you're doing is work to remove the roadblock. Don't allow it to stop your view. Don't allow it to skew your perspective. Really think about what mindset you hold up as you not only tackle the roadblock, but you get on top of the obstacle. And that ultimately, that third component is how do you use that to build you up and others? Because sometimes the obstacles and the challenges that you will experience, others are getting ready to go through, and share that. And that's what we get to do in this community. All of us are here focused on empowering ourselves in how we show up for not just us, but for those ones we loved, as well as those people who we come into contact with. And this community is also focused on how do we empower ourselves in our businesses and our professions. You know, I shout out Plachette. She shared with us that she is out here crushing it in the real estate market. Let's continue to support each other in this community. Let's continue to empower and share our successes. And let's also share what are the obstacles so we all can support each other for jumping over them and standing tall because we've learned the lessons. In everything, I need you all to be grateful. Every moment that you have breath is an opportunity for you to be better. So today and every day, I am working hard to ensure that I'm working to empower you and that you guys recognize just how phenomenal you all are. You know, I come here each and every week. I know some of you have joined the raffle. If you haven't had the opportunity, we are going to be announcing hopefully the winners the next time we come for Talk to Me Tuesday. So if you haven't gotten in to get your Empowering Me kit, do so before you go ahead and shut down from social media tonight to make sure that you are in. It is a free raffle. You can't win it if you're not in it. So I know that some of you, Rochelle, I know she's already gone ahead and some other members have gone ahead and submitted. Make sure that you don't miss your opportunity. It has been my pleasure to serve you. I hope that you have gotten some nuggets to help you as you continue on this journey. This is your girl, Janelle, signing off for another episode of Talk to Me Tuesday. I look forward to seeing you all next week. Take care and stay safe.